Hello everyone. Well, it's a budget priced Hoover that I've got to look at today. This is a Hoover Vortex Evo all-round cleaning performance. It's one of the latest low energy vacuums. In fact, I think this one only uses 350 watts. Okay, without any further ado, let's get this unboxed. I bought this particular Hoover from the TV home shopping channel Ideal World for $49.99, but that was a special offer and they don't have any left. But you can expect to pay around £80 for this, so I would call it a budget priced vacuum. First out of the box comes a Pet Turbo Nozzle, because this is a Pet version, so with most Pet version vacuums you get a separate air powered turbo brush for dealing with pet hair, and this, I think, is the little bracket that attaches that nozzle to the handle. So out comes the cleaner. There'll be a little bit of assembly with this one. Let's get the instruction book. Now inside we've also got a dusting brush and the handle that we need to attach. Right, I'll just get rid of all this packaging and we'll get this machine assembled. Well, here's the cleaner out of its box, and the first thing that strikes me is how very plasticky it is. Now, of course, most vacuum cleaners are made of plastic, but this one seems very plastic, if you know what I mean. But it's a sort of a softer plastic. It's not, doesn't feel like a hard, brittle plastic. It feels like it might have some give in it. This is very similar to the Hoover Blaze upright cleaner that I demonstrated on my channel quite a while ago, and for the price I was pretty impressed with that. So possibly this will be a similar result, but of course it's one of the lower energy and it's also a quieter machine. This is 80 decibels, so it meets the latest EU requirements for vacuum cleaners. Okay, without any further ado, let's pop on the handle and the hose, and then we'll have a little look at this cleaner. There's only one screw to do up on this cleaner, which you'll find behind a piece of tape to prevent it from being lost in transit. So remove the tape and then of course take the screw out, pop it into the machine like that. There you go, pretty straightforward. Tighten up with a screwdriver, but don't over tighten. The storage bracket for the pet hair remover just clips onto the handle. You'll notice two grooves just either side about here, and they need to just line up with two notches on this. It goes this way up, so just locate it onto the handle and push it. I don't know if it's going to click. There, that's in position. Didn't really click, but that's where it should be. And then you can pop on the turbo nozzle just like this. The dusting brush fits on the holder here. This is a stair cleaning hose that comes supplied with this cleaner. It's up to you whether you store it on board. You don't have to, but if you want to, you first locate this end into the holder here, and then this top hook goes there. Put the hose over that, and then there's also a bottom hook here. Wrap the hose around that and then connect this end of the hose to the other side of the holder, and that's the hose stored on board. When using the cleaner in upright mode, you must ensure that this short hose fits into the hose socket here. So just pull it and stretch it and make sure that it's tightly fitted. If you don't do that, the machine won't pick up. The mains lead is stored on two hooks at the back of the cleaner, a top swivel hook here and a bottom hook here. There's a little clip on the plug that allows you to attach it to the mains cable to keep it from coming loose. So that's the Hoover Vortex Evo fully assembled and ready for use. Before I give you a guided tour of the cleaner, let's have a look at the EU energy label. So this gets an A+ rating for energy use, using on average 22 kilowatt hours per annum. It gets a C rating for dust emissions, a D rating for dust pickup from carpet, a C rating for dust pickup from a hard floor, and it's just on the new EU decibel limit of 80 decibels. The Hoover Vortex Evo has 5 settings for different carpets and floors. Setting 5 is for tool use and luxury carpet. Settings 3 and setting 4 is for longer pile carpets. Setting 1 gives you the best performance on hard floors and low to medium pile carpets. Setting 2 is for medium pile carpet and more delicate flooring, and then back down to setting 4, which again is for your longer pile carpets. This is the agitator on the underside of the cleaner. Now it's got fairly stiff bristles, which will help deal with more difficult litter such as pet hair. And for hard floors, you've got a squeegee front and back, and that helps improve the performance on hard floors. Now, being a budget cleaner, this only has one motor and it's belt driven, and the belt will need replacing from time to time. The part number is listed in the instruction book, and the instructions on how to change it are there also. At the back of the cleaner you'll find foot operated controls for the handle release and the on-off button. To empty the machine, press down on this button here and the bin comes away from the cleaner. To empty the machine, hold the container over a bin and release the catch at the bottom. There's a guide printed on the back of the bin with some maintenance tips. Now Hoover recommend you clean the filters after every 5 bin empties. So to access the inner filter you need to undo the top. There's a little open and closed lock here, so rotate it to the open position and then you can remove the filter from the bin. You can give the bin at this stage a bit of a wipe out if you want to. You could rinse that under running water for a more thorough clean, but make sure it's 100% dry before putting it back into the machine. So here's the 2-stage pre-motor filter. You've got a mesh and there's a pleated HEPA filter inside. So to give this a thorough clean, you might get away with just wiping this down with a brush, especially if pet hair or anything has got caught on it. But for a more thorough clean you need to remove the mesh screen from the pleated filter, turn it to the unlocked position, and then you can take it away from the top. You'll also find a very small little filter in there. Make sure that that's clean as well. Make sure you don't lose it. Pop it back in the top. And then we can take the mesh screen off. Obviously I'm showing you this when it's clean. When you've been using it, this will be very dirty, so you might want to put some rubber gloves on if you're particularly sensitive to dust, or do it outside. So that comes away, and then both filters can be cleaned under running water. Give it a shake, leave them to dry, not over direct heat, for around 24 hours before reassembly. I'll be showing you all this. I'll be using this machine for a whole month, so after the month is up I'll be showing you the state of the filter. So it's not going to look as good as this, so do be prepared with a bagless cleaner, especially a budget bagless cleaner. You're going to have to do this maintenance if you want the machine to still work effectively. I know a lot of people who buy a vacuum cleaner, they may empty it, but they tend to neglect the filters and then wonder why it's not picking up. Filter maintenance is very important. A filter of vacuum cleaner is like your lungs. They don't work very effectively if they're all clogged up, so keep your filters clean. If you don't want the maintenance, buy a bagged vacuum cleaner. That's all I'll say on the subject. So, or buy a more expensive bagless, because some of the better ones, I'm going to mention the D word, Dyson, you do pay a lot more for them, but the maintenance is reduced the more you pay on the whole. So this is at a budget end, so you will find a lot more maintenance is needed. So once you've cleaned that, just pop it back in the top, line up the open arrow with the little arrow there. It's a bit hard to see with the light, and then you twist it until it locks, and then of course locate it back into the cleaner. As well as a dusting brush and turbo nozzle, Hoover also supply an extension wand and a crevice tool. The crevice tool is actually located inside the wand. That's a nice length of tool there, so you should be able to get down the sides of your sofas or reach up high for cobwebs, and it's also useful for cleaning in between your car seats. The cable enters the cleaner quite low down, but there's a clip higher up to keep it out of the way. When you want to use the cleaning tools, you first have to remove the hose from its storage position. So just remove it from the bracket and the hooks and take it from the cleaner. And then we have to connect the hose to the machine's suction inlet here. So first of all, you need to remove the short hose just by pulling on these two tags here, two clips. Just squeeze them and then you can pull that out and then just leave the hose like that. And then this is where you'd now plug in the stretch hose, and that has the same two catches. Line them up with two slots, push it in, it should click into position. So now you have the stretch hose that should reach up a standard flight of stairs. I'll be testing that in the full demo, but it is very stretchable. And onto the end of the hose you can fit any of the cleaning tools, including the turbo brush, if you can remove it. So that will fit on directly, but of course you can also fit on the extension wand. That way up. And onto the end of the wand you can fit the crevice tool, the dusting brush, or of course the turbo nozzle. When using the cleaning tools, make sure the height selector is in position 5. I've just checked how far this Hoover Vortex will clean a standard flight of stairs, and it only reaches up to 9 steps, so it isn't a full stair cleaning hose. While I've got the hose attached, I'm going to switch the cleaner on and judge first of all its noise level and just see how much suction there is at the hose end. Now, it is certainly much quieter than previous models, but then again it's only got a 350 watt motor in it, and you can tell the suction at the end of the hose isn't great, certainly far worse than the Hoover Blaze, the very similar Hoover Blaze I tested quite a while ago. Let's see if it's enough suction to drive the brushes on this turbo head. It does seem quite successful at doing that. They did slow down a bit when I put my hand over the end, but there is a suction inlet here to help the airflow to flow through the machine, so it's still rotating. Whether it works on picking up pet hairs is another matter, but I will of course demonstrate pet hair pickup using the main cleaner and the turbo brush when I do my main demonstration. I'm not going to put down any dirt in this video to test this cleaner, because this Hoover Vortex Evo is going to be my vacuum of the month for May. Now previously in April I'm using a Miele cylinder cleaner, so it'll be interesting to see how much more dirt we can get out of the carpet using an upright, and a budget upright at that. So what I'm going to do is demonstrate this machine during my swap over video when I show you this and I tell you how well the Miele did. So I'm going to vacuum the whole house and see how much is in the bin after vacuuming with the Miele. I will be doing, of course, a separate full demo of this as well. But for now, all I'm going to do is quickly run it across the carpet just to judge how easy it is to push. And then that will be the end of the unboxing and first look of this Hoover Vortex Evo. Well, it's very easy to push. I've got it on setting 2. I'll just try it briefly on setting 1, which Hoover recommend. That's the setting you should use for maximum pickup performance, and you should only really use that on low to medium pile carpet. It's about as easy to push. Can you hear how quiet this machine is? It is very quiet. It says it's 80 decibels, but that sounds quieter to me than 80 decibels. I've got the Dyson light ball that's also supposed to be 80 decibels, and that seems just a tad louder than this one. That's one thing I will say is a good thing about the EU regulations. The latest regulations is reducing the noise level to 80 decibels maximum. This makes this cleaner very pleasant to use. Whether or not it's going to pick up as well as a high wattage cleaner, we'll have to wait for the demo. But all in all, well, for what I paid, £50, if you can't afford much more than that for a bagless vacuum, it might be worth a look. But bear in mind, of course, as I said, the cheaper the bagless vacuum, on the whole, the more maintenance you have to do. So to keep this machine picking up, you will have to keep those filters clean.